Hello Capricorn, thank you for tuning into your general read. For the main part of the read, I'm using The Witch's Tarot by Ellen Dugan with illustrations by Mark Evans. For the supportive cards, I'm using the Angel's Answers Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine. Okay, let's go ahead. Capricorn, right? Capricorn. Okay. Really? Okay. All right. This reminds me of Virgo just a little bit, only because there's halfway through in the environment, seems like there's something going on that you're not aware of. Now, as we go into this time frame, you have the Lover's card. So you're very happy, feeling fulfilled, feeling very appreciated. This is a good situation you're walking into. Or continuing. My nose is itching, so it makes me wonder. This might be like a little giddy feeling here, a little excited. Now, the advice here, whatever you're walking into or continuing, that you're very happy, feeling appreciated, enjoying very much, it's the card here, Get More Information, is popping out, and I feel like that's saying, if this is hitting with you at this point, if it's in the past, you might want to review it and figure out what you missed at this time. If it's starting out in a situation where you're feeling really good, you might want to look a little closer. Now, I'm going to actually flip this card here. Okay. In the environment, there's the passive no, but it's face down. So the other side, whatever you're dealing with, you're feeling really great about. You're feeling like this is perfect, almost like it's kismet. The other side is not on the same page. They're very passively not wanting to do this, but they're keeping it. They're not expressing that. I feel like this is maybe why we're going into the next card, the Ten of Wands. Oh, and there's a card behind it with the Five of Swords, but the Five of Swords is kind of hidden. Now, the Five of Swords is usually people coming together when they disagree about something and deciding what action to take. It's kind of a diplomacy card. Ten of Wands is carrying your burdens and succeeding through carrying those burdens, but accepting them and continuing on. Now, I feel like there's some stress between you and this other party or the situation, whatever's going on here that you really much love. There is some stress. Things don't seem to be moving as easily as you expected. There seems to be a little bit of unspoken tension. And especially when I get that Five of Swords is hidden behind the Ten of Wands, I feel like there's tension here, but it's unspoken. It's just like things don't seem to be communicated. And I feel like there's, I feel like you're happy, but you're noticing that the other person or situation is not conducive and doesn't seem to be reacting the way you expect. But I feel like you're chalking it up to this person or the situation just going through a bad day, or just like a very busy time and it's just things aren't what they seem. I feel like you're just not, you're trying to have best efforts. You're trying to see the positive in the situation. You don't really want to see that something's wrong here because you're so happy, and I don't feel like you have a reason beyond this to believe that things aren't right. So you're just like, you know what, people have their days, things go on like this, it's fine. I mean, you know, it's a moment, it'll pass, it's fine. In truth, though, it's because of that passive no on the other side, and I feel like the other side isn't very on point with what's going on. They don't really want to be a part of it as much, but they're not explaining it. Yet I feel like through passive-aggressive movement, they're trying to change things a little bit. Like they're just kind of showing discontent with attitude and posture or the way they do something, instead of saying flat out that they're not interested in what's going on. I feel like the other side is really, they want to change things, but they're not they're not expressing it, especially with the no face down and then the diplomacy hidden behind the Ten of Wands. I don't feel like they're expressing how they really feel, but their attitude and how they're acting in the situation is speaking volumes. Okay, now, as it keeps going forward, you have the Four of Wands, which mostly hides the Tower card. The Tower card is right behind it. I feel like things are starting to fall apart here. Things are starting to fall apart. But the Four of Wands on top of it, I feel like you're still trying to look at the situation, because this isn't your side. You're aware that things are starting to fall apart, but you're still trying to enjoy things. You're trying to honor the situation as it is. I feel like you're trying to look at it as if it's just a bad day, it's just a bad moment, it'll pass, it'll be fine. In truth, though, I don't feel like that's what's happening here. I think the situation is starting to go to its completion. I feel like it's starting to break down. But you're trying to have the attitude where, yeah, you see what's happening, you see it could cause a calamity, but you're trying to have best efforts, you're trying to see the positive of this. You're like, you know what, these moments happen, it'll pass, it'll be fine, I'll just hold on, we'll get through this, and it'll continue back to where it was. But I don't see that actually happening, but I feel like that's the attitude. You're trying to be optimistic about it. I just don't feel like it's paying off in the situation in the long run. You have communicate clearly. I do feel like you start communicating about this when you're seeing it. What I'm seeing next is, right below it, the Two of Swords. I feel like communication is not... I still feel like communication is a problem. I do feel like communication is a problem at this point. Even though you bring it forward, you start the conversation, and you're addressing what you're seeing because you're starting to get worried about it. You're starting to see that something could really go wrong here. This Two of Swords, I don't feel like you're getting the feedback that you need to understand where the other side is coming from or why things are happening the way they are. But as you do go forward and the Two of Swords happens, the other side has the Eight of Pentacles. They're trying to figure out how to deal with it. I feel like they're looking at it a lot stronger now. They're realizing that, you know, the destruction of the situation is happening now, but it's based on the way that they're handling it. And now they're looking at what they need to do because I feel like they really want out. And as this happens and they're looking into it, they're looking deeper, this next part happens, which is two face-down cards, which I don't know what they are yet. So what happens is the Nine of Pentacles with the Five of Wands. Now, the situation isn't overall bad, but there's still this discontent. The other side does not want to be a part of it. That's where the Five of Wands is. Like, it's based on this discord. The other side does not want this to work out. I don't feel like the situation is a bad situation, ironically, but the other side wants out. They want out, and it's causing a lot of underlying, I want to say distrust. Why do I want to say distrust? I feel like it's distrust because communication isn't happening. You know something's wrong, but you're not getting the information, but you definitely know something's wrong. They're not telling you, and they know that they want out, and it's causing more conflict on their side because they don't know. They seem to not understand what they need to do to get out of the situation. They seem not to want to communicate, or at least they don't feel like they can do it effectively. Something seems to be amiss here because there's tension on both sides. You're understanding that something isn't right here because things are falling apart and the other side isn't telling you exactly what they need to tell you. Something is being held from you and you're aware of this at this point. The other side doesn't seem to understand how to convey this information. It's almost like if they convey the information, there's a certain way to get out of the situation, but they're not conducive with that. They're holding back and they're just going to make a quick split. And I feel like that's very unappealing to you. And I feel like if they talked it out with you, this would go a different way. It would take a while for it to kind of calm down and move on. But they don't want to wait. They don't want to wait for a slower resolution. They want it to happen fast. So they're holding back until they're ready to just bolt. And then when they bolt, it's almost like you're kind of left in the lurch a little bit. Is kind of what I'm feeling. I'm not sure if that's exactly how this is going to hit yet, but it feels like they just want out. They want a quick out. With the Nine of Pentacles over the wands, like, it's not a bad situation though. That's the thing. I don't feel like it has to go this way, but it seems like that's how it's going. And I feel like it might be a little baffling to you why it's happening the way it is. Especially when I have the Queen of Wands above this for you. Like, you're doing your best to get along. I feel like that's why this Nine of Pentacles is here. It's like you have the Queen of Wands. You're trying to make this work out. You're trying to get the communication going. You're trying to understand where the other person is. You're trying to work it out in some respect. But the other side, I feel like there's more of a combative, they just want what they want, and they're not looking to work through it. They just want the situation to come to fruition and move on from it. Okay. Now, on the other side, I'm also getting the Death card, so they are moving on. I feel like they're just done. And I feel like when they're looking at it closely, they're just trying to find the way to do that. But I feel like it's an abrupt ending. Abrupt. It feels very abrupt. And I feel like as they were pushing back and trying to not work things out with you, or however they were doing that, maybe avoiding you, not going to meetings, not doing whatever they need to do to let you know what's happening, they also, at the same time, are finding a way to just cut losses and be done. And they decided that's what they're going to do, and that's what they did. That does create a problem between you and this other side. The Page of Wands, the situation, I feel like it kind of, for you, came to a passive end because the other side made their choice and you're just kind of left with the bag. Whatever the situation is, the pieces you have to pick up and handle, you are. Because you got don't stop on your side. Whatever this situation is where the other side just kind of said, I'm done, and left, there's still responsibilities to be handled, and I feel like you're doing that. But I feel like between you and the other side, that's not really the best thing. The other side should have done something a little differently. But I feel like you're left holding the bag here. And with the Page of Wands here, I feel like it's a little scary. But I do feel like you're going to keep going and keep things surviving as necessary. So I feel like you are going to persevere in that sense, but I do feel like it's very nerve-wracking, and it's less than ideal in your opinion, I would say, if this hits the way it looks like it's going to hit. Alright, so it seems like it's going on. I feel like the worst part of this whole situation is you're going in feeling really good and happy with the other side and feeling like the situation is really solid. The other side wants out. Somebody wants out here. And they're not telling you, and they're dragging their feet. I feel like if they told you in the very beginning, I don't feel like you'd been happy with that, but the situation would have played out differently. And I feel like it would have been more comfortable for you and them in the long run, but I feel like they didn't want to have this conversation because they didn't want to do a negotiation about it. They just wanted out. And they knew in the beginning that they just wanted out. And they felt like they had to do it a certain way to get what they wanted. I feel like the way it feels on this side, I feel like there was a reluctance to deal with it. They were feeling like they were afraid they were going to get railroaded into something, or that somebody might try to change their mind or opinion. They did not want that to happen, so they waited it out until the opportunity came to them, and then when it was there, they took it and they just left. That's what I'm feeling. And on your side, I don't feel like you see it coming. In the very beginning, you start getting some inklings that things could fall apart, but you're trying to give the situation a chance. You start communicating. You even try to take care and actively try to fix things, but I feel like the situation, the other side has already decided what they're doing, so you're still ending up in the same position where whoever this other side is, they step out and you're just left holding the bag. And I feel like you're surviving through it, but you also are not happy about it at the same time, which seems like an obvious statement at this point. All right, that's where I'm seeing this end. So I figure if in the beginning, if you see it coming, maybe you can plan a little differently to give yourself a little bit more support. If you're noticing it, especially in the beginning where things are going well, but you're seeing these signs where things could be falling apart, maybe if you plan as if they are going to fall apart, maybe you can give yourself a little bit more support so it's not as rough on you as it looks like it's going to be. Hopefully that works to your advantage. At this point, I'm going to actually just wrap this up because I feel like we're going to start going in circles. So, thank you very much for watching my reading here. If you'd like a reading from me, go ahead and shoot me an email. jamesforastral@gmail.com. James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.